And now we've got a list of fugitives that we need your help finding. And I want to remind everyone that all of these fugitives listed on the show today are wanted as of today's taping date, which is May 12th, 2001. First up is Quintrell Rashawn Williams, a 21-year-old black male. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of burglary, grand theft, fraudulent use of a credit card, larceny, and criminal mischief.
And here's a huge case by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department. They're looking for a murder suspect in the death of a 6-month-old child early this year. Last known to live on Westminster Road in Fort Walton Beach was Charles Lanier Colvin Jr., 24 years old.
And next up, the Fort Walton Beach Police Department is also looking for Stephen Jerome McNabb for burglary to a vehicle and battery on a law enforcement. Last known address was in Fort Walton Beach.
The Niceville Police Department has a felony warrant for battery on a person 65 years of age or older, resisting an officer with violence, possession of cocaine and narcotic equipment for Karen Lynn Ally. She's 44 years old and last known to live in Niceville.
Still looking for Tawan Marcus Frost. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of possession of a controlled substance, possession of cocaine, and possession of marijuana. So give us a call if you know where he is.
Another case where you could help the Niceville Police Department, looking for William Shane Allen for burglary, criminal mischief, and theft. Landford
Jones is a 51-year-old black male. He's wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for burglary.
Also trying to track down Nicole Marie Riola, wanted for violating probation on charges of fleeing and eluding law enforcement and driving with a suspended or revoked license. And Riola was last known to live in Valparaiso.
And some good news, Frederick Lewis Dingler has been located since our last show.
Still looking, however, for Robert James Moore, 50 years old, wanted for violating probation on charges of possession of marijuana, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
Next up is 32-year-old Christopher James Abel. He's wanted for failure to appear on the original charges of habitually driving with a suspended or revoked license and a bond violation. Last known address was on Canoe Lake Road up in Holt.
Also, Joseph Matthew Gainey, 22, wanted for violating probation on a charge of possession of cocaine. And he's also wanted over in Walton County on a warrant for VOP on a charge of grand theft.
And we don't have a photo for our next fugitive, but it is 43-year-old Ty William Smith. He's a white male, 5'9", 275 pounds. He's wanted for criminal use of personal identification information.
Keith Douglas Carter was last known to live in Destin. He's wanted for violating probation on a charge of possession of cocaine.
And a long-time fugitive listed on our show has been located, and that would be Richard Dion Robinson. So some good news there.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to say that at some point for Mark Stephen Burns. Still looking for him. He's 58 years old, and he's wanted for unlawful sexual activity with a minor.
Stephen Eugene Hardy, a 38-year-old white male, and he's wanted for unlicensed contracting and theft.
Also, 863-TIPS if you know where to find Ron Demetrius Wells, last known to live in Fort Walton, wanted for grand theft and 2 counts of trafficking in stolen property.
And last up on this list is Joshua James Griggy, a 31-year-old white male, wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of burglary, grand theft, and criminal mischief. Last known address was in Freeport. And we would like to say a huge thank you to everyone in the community that came out to our 2nd annual crawfish boil on April 30th. We had an absolutely wonderful time. I have board members who were out there from about 8 o'clock in the morning for setup and then cleanup at the end. But I'll tell you what, those crawfish were magnificent, huge. We went through almost 800 pounds of crawfish.
Wow.
And we sold every single one. We actually had folks coming a little afterwards that we were actually selling some of our board members.
Their plates.
They had gone and put their plates away, and we said, well, go get your plate and bring it on out because we're going to sell that. So you can just...
you could have started auctioning it off.
We could have, and if you can see this video, and a big thank you to the Sheriff's Office Chaplain Larry Carter, who put this together for us, who came out that day to put it together. But our board members really, they served up the crawfish all day long. It was for a good cause, and these fugitives and these cases that you see profiled here, you know, the thing that helps us with this is citizen donations and, of course, people coming out to these type of events, fundraisers, that helps pay rewards and other things that we do with Crime Stoppers. So a huge thank you. What a great community we live in.
Right, not funded by law enforcement. Oh, I see Nicole there with her hair pulled
yes,
back.
Yes, it was a, and I'll tell you what, beautiful weather. We had Wave 102.1 came out and did a live remote. So lots of folks who said, hey, we can't wait for next year. So
yeah, a lot of people think Crime Stoppers is funded sometimes by law enforcement agencies. It's not. It's totally run through private donations.
That's true. It is. It's a 501c3 organization that's actually run by a volunteer board of directors, and it's just regular folks who show up and govern the program. So it's It's fabulous.
And I want to say too, while we're talking about thanking people, thanks to Cox Communications for this show, because without it, this is a wonderful tool to get these stories out for the public, to get these fugitives' faces out before the public, and it wouldn't be possible without them. So we're grateful for that too. We want to talk to you real quickly about Spring Break 2011, just wrapped up, and the Sheriff's Office issued 342 citations to underage drinkers, possession of alcohol. Imagine that.
Yep.
But you know what's interesting is that's down from 566 in spring break of 2010, and the deputies say that that's because there weren't as many people on the beach. I mean, it's just, and had about a couple weeks, and we're going to hear from some of them in a minute. Had some weeks there that were pretty rowdy and crowded, but other than that, what the TDC or Tourist Development Council likes to see lots and lots of families, which is actually a good thing. So not a lot of issues, not a lot of problems. People for the most part were on their best behavior. Mississippi came in tops with the most number of NTAs, then Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana. Louisiana sometimes used to be always on the top, as you've seen in the past, down there towards the bottom. Mississippi, 55 college students, 18 high school students at the top of the list. Locals, we had 3 college students and 4 high school students. And we talked to some of the deputies that were out there working beach patrol to see what they thought of Spring Break 2011. So we'll let you listen to some of the things that they had to say about their work out on the beaches.
The month of March, well, we were actually pretty busy. Going into April, it's really slowed down. It's almost been not many college kids out here at all compared to March.
Now, with the ones that you have seen out here, what kind of, if any, problems have you had? Or would you say overall everybody's been pretty well behaved?
For the most part, everybody has been behaved on the beach. It's at night is where we really start getting a lot of NTAs around the houses. Everybody starts partying. They've been drinking all day. And they start to have their parties at their homes, and they go from party to party. And walking down the road, drinking, open containers, we make contact with them. And that's where we're getting a lot of our violations. Probably 90% of the college people we deal with give us fake information. And now we have a computer that we take with us now that we can actually run everybody, but for the most part, almost everybody has given us fake names, fake date of births, and then we have to kind of investigate them a little bit and kind of work our way through it until they finally give us the right information. By getting out here and forcing the underage drinking and writing NTAs, it's slowing a lot of the alcohol consumption down on the beach, therefore leading to, or cutting down a lot of the activities at night that we have as far as batteries, sexual batteries, thefts, because everybody gets intoxicated and they tend to do things that they regret.
One thing that we've noticed was about the first 2 weeks of spring break, we didn't have it available, and we were getting a lot of the young kids lying to us, giving us false information, false name, false date of birth. And then since we've had it on the beach, as soon as they see it, the lying stops immediately. So it's been an invaluable tool to us on the beach.
What would you have had to do without that? Like, say somebody's lying to you, how would you have been able to figure it out before you had the computer with you?
We would handwrite their name and date of birth. We'd have to call dispatch either on the radio and tie up the radio or on our cell phone, and they would run their name through multiple means, and 9 times out of 10 it would come back with no return, which means that it's a false or fictitious name, and then we'd have to further investigate them and kind of query them and break them down, and eventually, usually we'd get the right date of birth out of them and go like that. I didn't think it was going to be as crazy as Panama City, but I definitely thought it was going to be busier. We've had a very tame spring break this year. We only had about 2 busy weeks in the middle of last month, and then this week, as you can see, it's really just young families and young kids, so it's been very tame.
And of those 342 notices to appear for underage drinking, I wanted to mention that 98 were issued to high school students, and then 244, the remainder, of course, to college students.
And that is going to wrap up this month's edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
We'll see you next time.